Steffany Chaisson is from Houma, which is about 45 miles southwest of here. She taught high school for 13 years before she became an adult education instructor. She's on the state adult education board in Louisiana. Steffany believes education needs a revolution, especially in math. Anybody agree? Her three statements: she failed geometry in high school, she flunked out of college, she missed 2 questions on her GRE. Exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steffany to the stage.
Thank you. All right. Hi, my name is Steffany Chaisson. Not correcting your pronunciation. My husband says I say it wrong also, so I don't know. In 2001, I earned my master's degree, my bachelor's degree in math education. In 2012, I earned my master's degree in adult education. I also have technology certifications, and I'm currently working on my library certification. How many math teachers like to read? Average about 100 books a year? Yeah. Good, I'm not alone. Yay. All right, I have 2 daughters that are 15 and 14 years old, and I've been married for 16 years. But obviously, it's my baby boy in my picture. He was supposed to be my husband's dog, but so. And my kids always say, well, you know, she loves the dog more than you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. All right. When I started teaching high school in 2001, the buzzword back then was HOT, higher order thinking skills. My evaluation always complimented my questioning skills, and I was asked to teach my peers how to ask questions. But somewhere along the way, I forgot how to ask questions. And it was just easier to tell my students the answer, to tell my students how to work a problem. So then I switched schools. And I worked at another school for a little while, and they had a revolution kind of thing, I don't know. And they got into this thing called Talk Moves in 2012, and everybody had a poster in their classroom. And I was like, oh my God, I remember I can ask questions. And I made many posters for the kids. I had them on my test. I had them taped onto the desk. And unlike most teachers, I put mine on my back wall so I could read it. The rest of the teachers had theirs on the front of the podium so the students could see it. But we're supposed to be the ones asking questions. When I started teaching adult education in 2012, I was nervous about insulting adults. I mean, I didn't want to teach them something they knew and insult them by I think they're not intelligent. I didn't want to teach them something that was over their heads and make them feel not intelligent. So, what's the easiest thing to do though? And find out what I need to teach them? It's to ask a question. Probably close to 75% of our students have had negative experiences in the classroom. And probably 97% of that is math trauma. And I want you to know that those statistics are completely made up. This has led to math anxiety, self-doubt, lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence. We've all heard them say this. I can't do it. I've never been good at math. But when we ask students questions, we're getting a glimpse inside of their minds. We're learning why they think the way they do. And we're given a chance to encourage them, to acknowledge where they're correct along their thinking. We can actually ignore the wrong and just start from where they were right. When we ask questions, we force students to justify their answer or the removal of an answer. We make them look at the problem and find different ways to solve it. We reframe their negative behaviors and thoughts. We allow them to connect to prior knowledge. We build confidence. We learn how our students think. We learn about their experiences. and we learn a way to work a problem that we hadn't before. If we blindly tell students that the answer is correct, let's skip it. You got that. Then you don't learn their reasoning for picking that answer. 23 is closest to 170, so that must be the right answer. Then you miss the opportunity to correct an error. And this could happen. If we're willing to ask students about their thought process, then we are willing to learn. We teach them to think critically. I had a review problem on one of the high-set practice tests that I skipped every time. It was a rational equation that was polynomial division, which my math nerd loves, but I'm like, I just don't know if I want to explain this problem right now. And then I asked a student, how did you get that? He said, well, this is what I did, and he showed me. And I was like, oh, that's an incredible method I never thought of. We can do that. And so now I have him help me teach the students how to work that problem. So you might ask, what questions am I supposed to ask? If you just ask questions, hey, so who got the answer to this? What is it? Those aren't the questions you want to ask. These questions are inspired by talk moves. So don't ask a yes/no question unless it's followed up by a process or a why. Did you get the same answer as Johnny? Yes. Did you use the same method? Did you, what was your first step? Or why didn't you pick this answer instead? Don't ask, what'd you get for number one? Instead ask, if it's a group, I like to poll. How many of y'all got A? How many of you got B? Now why? Compare. Find somebody who didn't get that answer and compare and see where your choices differed. Not went wrong, but differed. If you monitor them as they work, you will know who to ask those questions to and model, and it helps a lot. This is not a paid endorsement. This is, you can Google Talk Moves and you can get a copy of these questions. It is a whole program put together, and you can buy stuff and bring it to Google. So, this is also not a workshop. It is a talk, but I might have some copies of these questions in my purse. All right. Because I like to share and break rules. All right. So, my call to action is, can you teach a lesson without giving an answer? Yes. Can you do it? Can you validate an answer? I'm not saying never let them know if they're correct. Don't leave them in suspense, okay? But see if you can ask that. If you can rise to that challenge and validate their answers. Can you teach a lesson mostly only asking, wait, did I say that wrong? I did. Okay. Can you teach a lesson mostly asking questions, and can you teach a lesson without giving an answer? All right. Can you teach a lesson asking mostly questions? Mostly asking questions. Okay. My brain, y'all, I'm sorry. All right, so mostly only asking. I'm not an English person, I'm sorry.
Can you ask a lesson only teaching questions, or even if not that, then maybe just a couple?
Just a question. Not all, I mean, hello, how was your day? Do it. It doesn't, right? So, but try it. I don't want some of us who are very rigid in our thinking, which is perfectly fine, to take this too literally and just never have. But, mostly ask those questions. Probe your students. Ask them where they got it. Use that inspiration. And I would love to see what you learn and how you use this in your classroom with the Adult Numeracy Network. So, thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.